Today, let's focus on a major conflict in the Middle East that has lasted more than a decade, the Syrian Civil War. From the Arab Spring to the outbreak of the Civil War, the story begins in 2011 with the wave of the Arab Spring. At that time, countries across the Middle East and North Africa were experiencing popular uprisings aimed at overthrowing long-standing dictators. After successful regime changes in Tunisia and Egypt, the Syrian people also hoped for more freedom and greater political participation. In March 2011, in the southern Syrian city of Daraa, a group of teenagers was arrested and harshly punished for painting anti-government slogans. This event ignited widespread, long-brewing discontent. Initially, the demands were for reforms and the release of political prisoners, peaceful demonstrations, yet they were met with violent suppression by the authorities. Anger spread rapidly across the country. Within a few months, Syria transitioned from peaceful protests to an armed domestic conflict, plunging the entire nation into a civil war. Major participants and their international background. One key reason the Syrian Civil War is so complex is the multitude of participants with intertwined interests. The Syrian government and its powerful backers, President Bashar al-Assad's Syrian government forces, are the legitimate army in this conflict. Internationally, Assad is fully supported by Iran, Lebanon's Hezbollah, and Russia. Iran provides funding, weapons, and advisors to ensure that the Assad regime remains a crucial component of the Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Shia corridor. Lebanon's Hezbollah fighters are deeply involved in ground battles, helping stabilize Assad's front lines. In particular, after Russia intervened with its air force in 2015, strong air support allowed the Syrian government to strategic foothold in the Middle East that it cannot afford to lose. Opposition forces and Islamist militants. In the early stages of the war, opposition groups including the Free Syrian Army, FSA, emerged across the country. Their goal was to topple Assad and establish a more democratic and inclusive regime. However, they lacked unified leadership, and the presence of various armed groups with differing religious and ideological backgrounds meant that the opposition remained fragmented. Meanwhile, some Islamist factions linked to al-Qaeda also took the opportunity to grow stronger, at times cooperating with, and at other times competing against the opposition, making the political landscape even more fragmented. The rise of ISIS and multi-front opposition. In this chaotic environment, the so-called Islamic State, ISIS, quickly rose to prominence, seizing large swathes of territory along the Syrian-Iraqi border. Known for extreme brutality, ISIS's expansion not only threatened Syria but shocked the international community. The United States and its allies launched airstrikes against ISIS, and the global community came together in an unprecedented manner to fight this extremist group. ISIS became the common enemy of all parties on the Syrian battlefield. Kurdish forces and regional maneuvers. In northern and northeastern Syria, Kurdish forces, such as the YPG and the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, which they lead, fought ISIS tenaciously with US support. They established autonomous areas, seeking greater political space. However, this alarmed Turkey, which feared that Kurdish aspirations for independence might impact its own Kurdish issue. As a result, Turkey intervened across the border on multiple occasions. Daggers of the Civil War. Initial stage, 2011-2012. Street protests turned into nationwide armed conflict. At one point, the opposition expanded in some areas. Opposition expansion and fragmentation, 2012-2013. The FSA and other opposition forces made limited gains, but internal discord hindered their strategic potential. ISIS rise and international intervention, 2013-2015. ISIS controlled vast territories, causing global alarm. A US-led coalition conducted airstrikes. In 2015, Russia officially intervened, helping Assad's forces reverse the tide. Government counteroffensive and turning the tide 2016-2017. With Russian air power and support from Iran and Hezbollah on the ground, government troops recaptured major cities such as Aleppo, forcing the opposition to retreat. The defeat of ISIS and relative de-escalation, 2017-present, ISIS lost its territories under combined assaults from multiple fronts. Although large-scale fighting has diminished, Syria has yet to achieve full peace. Instability persists in places like Idlib, and the issue of Kurdish autonomy remains unresolved. Wherefore, refugees and the humanitarian crisis. The great catastrophe caused by the civil war is on the humanitarian front. Millions of people have been displaced within Syria, left without homes. More than 5 million Syrian refugees fled to neighboring countries, Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan, placing enormous economic and social pressures on them. Some refugees headed toward Europe, contributing to the European refugee crisis around 2015, sparking political controversy and policy challenge. To this day, the international community continues to provide humanitarian aid, but reconstruction talks are hampered by political maneuvering and insufficient funding. Many Syrians still cannot return home, and their future remains uncertain. Conclusion. From the initial hopes for change during the Arab Spring to the complex, multi-layered conflict involving numerous parties, the trajectory of the Syrian Civil War is sobering. The involvement of Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia successfully preserved the Assad regime, turning Syria into a stage for great power rivalry. Although large-scale combat has subsided, true peace, reconstruction, and reconciliation remain a long and arduous path ahead. If you found today's explanation helpful for understanding the Syrian Civil War, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you next time.